Good morning, all you yellow resonant suns. Good morning to me too, yellow resonant sun today. Today we're all yellow resonant suns. I have come here now for 20 days. That is not a small achievement for me. And on no day have I come with more and with less. I realize that I can actually sit here and wait for words to come as long as I want to, because I can edit out the silences if they take a long time. I kind of don't want to do that because in a way the silences are part of the story or part of the meeting space. It's part of the intention or part of the journey we're on together to tune into that silence. I'm looking for, or there's a voice in my head that says, let's not run a social commentary today. Let's not run a commentary on the things that we do or that we don't do. My question is, should I explain or speak about tones and seals? We've been to tone 7, it's the second time. Second 7. Second 7's away. But it's the first sun. The Alpha and the Omega. And yet, there's a reason the seals are arranged in a circle. And there's no hierarchy here. There's development at all times, in all directions. And the sun, it's as vital as anyone else. It stands for enlighten. I love the fact that it doesn't stand for enlightenment. Personally, I appreciate that distinction, and I love how in English we can say, enlighten me about something. Give me the information that I need. Tell me what I don't know. Enlighten me. You don't know what happened yesterday. Oh, I don't? I wasn't there. Indeed, enlighten me. So it's that way it places that whole concept a little closer to home. Life force, enlighten, the sun, symbolism, universal fire. This is absolutely not, in my experience, or a day for I'm not in the mood for analysis mode, and that is extremely rare. Tone 7 is equally noteworthy. To meet the first sun of the 13 suns that we will meet, that we always meet, on tone 7, to me personally, is very significant. I look at it also from the perspective of being a sun born myself, magnetic, but I am sun, so all the suns are relevant to me. And if in the course of time, the course of a spin, the sequence, excuse my stomach growling if you can hear that, if the sequence is relevant, because I should add in this an image of the Tzolk'in, the 260 seals. We have different ways and different options to serve or to read it. Chronologically, it's read from the top left corner down. There are 260 squares that are arranged in 20 columns, 20 vertical and 13 vertical and 13 horizontal, and they are read downwards. So the red dragon is the first on top left corner, and the resonant sun is the 20th at the bottom left corner. And tomorrow is going to be the second square in the second column, right next to the dragon. We start at 21 and we move down to 40. And for me, if I imagine my being in the world, my consciousness, my life force is a red snake, but they're very linked. A universal fire, life itself associated to the sun. My initiation is resonant, resonating with everything in the magical column of 7. The 7th column in the 13 downward columns in the Tzolk'in, the central column, is special. It has its own kins in there don't have mirror kins, whatever that is. And 7 is the center of 13, 7 chakras. 7 stands for alignment, attunement, inspiring, channeling, channel. I don't know about channeling, it says channel. It is a channel, it's a central channel, it's a channel through which life flows. The spine, along which the Kundalini flows. The Kundalini is represented by this red serpent. The sun is often referred to as like Christ consciousness. It's like the pinnacle of evolution, but of life, is it? But it always continues afterwards. It always continues from there. But the Tzolk'in is this sacred calendar. It's not just a day count, which means it is an evolutionary, the spiritual evolution of life itself, and all of life is spiritual. The earth, matter, everything is in its basic nature spiritual. I am always so surprised how we in the West, with our modern science, are so often so haughty, so unhumble. And so often I look at us like, you guys are reinventing the wheel, and you think it's not even smooth yet. And you think this is the highest of evolution? Your knowledge is like, just because you can imagine past the atom, it's all known on the planet. There's so much knowledge on the planet preserved by the indigenous. We are way behind, but we think we're ahead. It's very funny. If we could at least be humble enough to say, we're exploring it this way, we're exploring it our way. Our generation also wants to have something that hasn't been around. Every civilization, like period of, like every civilization wants to have its maybe accolades, its moment in the sun, its Nobel Prize. Oh, we are so addicted to authority, acknowledgement on a big scale. It's such a driving force. Like, yeah, you've made it, you got that big badge. I'm not bashing the Nobel Prize or any prize. I mean, respect, yeah, more to you. But sometimes it just seems a tad trite, a little bit childish. And especially knowing that it's not fair. It's not really, these kinds of thingies are barely based on fairness. Maybe they once were, maybe they initially had the intention to be. I don't think they are anymore. And I'm not bashing science, for me, we would do with a bit more humility. In the same way that the Western civilization has really taken to worshipping. We have been made into worshippers, we're followers, we follow influencers. I mean, oh my goodness, how absurd. But we're all into that school. We have to, adherence to authority at the neglect and the sacrifice of your own authority. And we see where that's led us, individually and collectively. You can, I compare it to, that propensity to worship, that is such a paradigm. Paradigms. The other day, a few months ago, I tried to explain what a paradigm is to my mom, who didn't know what a paradigm is. Funnily, I struggled a little bit. I should have asked Google. But within a paradigm, it's very, very difficult to even realize that you're in one. It's very difficult to look outside of it. The minute you can look outside of it and can identify it, you are no longer, or you're less subject to it, perhaps, I don't know. Consciousness versus unconsciousness. But this worship thingy lets us, it's such a paradigm that everything we study, it feels to me, generally speaking, when we study the past, the far past, civilizations we cannot place within our radius of the grand last 2,000 years, or 6,000, or till the last ice age. Before that, it gets really hairy. But anything, we can clearly see things are older than what we're estimating, but it just doesn't fit in the books, right? But I don't even want to comment on that. What I want to say is that we interpret everything we see there through the filter of, because we are so worshipping, we assume like sun worship through the lens of the way we worship, that the sun worship in cultures who seemingly had a very intense relationship with the sun is not worship. It would be probably more scientific than our relationship with the sun. It would be as close to worship as, I think we worship our lovers often even more than, but it's like maybe with your child or your parents, you don't worship them. It's a love, it's respect, it's mutual. And the cultures that had a relationship with the sun understood that relationship to be mutual. So very often when we worship, if I worship the divine, and it doesn't get told to me as a mutual, I'm also being worshipped by the divine. It's rarely told that way. We are lowly. Very often the human is put so far above everything else on earth. I'm speaking kind of out of the Christian mythology, but you're very much lower than God. And the truth, and I'm going to say it, the truth is we're not. Of course, we are now expressing the divine in a biological suit, which isn't anywhere near omnipresent nor omnipotent. But that is just us confusing ourselves with our jackets. if I've confused my identity with my jacket, I am lost, incredibly lost. Who am I identifying as? It is the core question. And I'm not sure what's going on this planet to confuse our children and will propel them into a perpetual battle in adulthood. I am not a friend of they are doing this to us. It places us, in that case, perpetually into the victim position, subject to what they are doing to us or what they don't want us to know, blah blah blah. I don't really like that language. It's the one who tells me that they don't want me to know what that one is now telling me. That one is already placing itself. I don't want to even comment on that, but the divinity within us, the divinity that we are. For me, I come from as I've said before, I was born into an atheistic society. Anything religious, I don't recall even much use of the word spiritual in my childhood. Religious, yeah, not much. Religions existed, but they held no value. They're the opium. It's the opium for the masses. And that's the world I grew up in. God gets pulled into the equation when we don't know how to explain something, which just shows how important it is to know how we think we can know everything. And then what would you not know? Oh, well, we just haven't discovered yet. We just don't know it yet, but God has nothing to do with it. And fair enough, because atheism is like it's the antidote to religious dogma and religious lies. A lot of religious information and the way religion is practiced, I generalize terribly, but a lot of it is just based on, oh my goodness, something really, really unkind and untrue. But it's been with us for so long, especially in the European Western world, so long. We've been in it so long. Our ancestors who have not been there are, in time at least, very far away. And yet, we are here. You can't repress the truth because it reincarnates into flesh all the time. And we are all learning and growing. So, but I prefer the version where we too, we are a part of them. So I'm not a victim to the paradigms that have been set up. I just refuse. I personally prefer that. Every now and then I was also an inquisitor, maybe. And it's a horrible thought, of course. But it actually gives me a bit more peace than to think I've always been an angel being spreading the light and I was burnt at the stake how many times. Yeah, I can choose my versions, but I prefer a bit more balance here. We are all, if we're bringing a lot of light onto this planet, we're also calling in the opposite, because this is a place of duality. Every force has its equal and opposite counter force, however that sentence exactly goes. So that's why I said the other day, when you feed one wolf, in the Indian, in that Native American saying, where that comes from, it's not meant in the way I'm now interpreting it. It really isn't, and it should stand on its own. I'm not correcting it. It's just in the way I'm using it right now. You feed one wolf, you're bound to feed the other. Or you're starving the other, which is also not a good idea. I don't want to be close to a starved wolf. That's why I say, just send them off. Go find your own food. Or feed them both. Or feed them all. I mean, see where it gets you. But enlighten, to know who we are. And then I was talking about the confusion of the children with this sort of gender identity agenda. I mean, if I was given to believing in some evil intent on the planet, and there may be that, I just personally don't find that a workable way to, it just doesn't make sense to have an evil equal to God. I just said that the minute you bring in light, you bring the opposite. So if we're in the traditional way looking at God like that, then there has to be a kind of a sort of almost equal force to that. I don't look at the divine that way, because the divine is not polarized. It is the unity. The unity splits itself into many poles, of course, into many parts, and they can express anything. None is less divine than anything else. So when I learned Christian mythology, which was the first religion I came in contact with, when I learned what they believe, I never understood it with my atheist rational mind. I'm like, I don't understand. You have an omnipresent, omnipotent, omni-everything God, and then you have this devil dude who's just so powerful? I don't get it. You're aligned with God. What you worried about? You don't need to worry nothing. It doesn't make sense. And it's exactly that. I saw a very, very interesting YouTube interview, The War on Sense Making. I think they took it down. I saw it in 2020. Yeah, he brought exactly that point. It's like, confuse people and do it early, before their mental structures are fully formed. Confuse them and you can control them. It's so easy to control us. And I wonder, because I see so many people who come in who are born, who are not controllable, and they're not confused, and they went through exactly the same paradigms and schooling and everything, and they're not a part of the herd. In fact, everyone who's listening to this isn't. So what is different here? What's the difference? So for me, maybe it's the old soul concept. We've incarnated here so many times. We've been here. The definition for an old soul, of course, on a soul level, there's no time, so there are no old souls like old bodies and young bodies. An old soul, in planetary terms, I have learned, is a soul who is incarnated many, many, many times, thousands of lifetimes, however long. All soul has been present at the birth of, there's no death, so we are always present at the birth of every universe. My mind is linear, so I can't even, but younger souls, they haven't been to planet Earth that often. And some things are much easier for them on the planet because they don't have the baggage. And the way that works, I've come to learn, according to the teachings of Cryon, is when we leave our bodies, we go into a field, we leave our Akashic history on planet Earth. And when we re-enter into a new body, we pick that up again. doesn't go with us to the beyond. It stays here, part of the earth memory. And we have now collectively apparently access is granted, what can I say, to our earth Akasha records. But they have not yet been granted to include off-earth memories. Although maybe some people are already having them. So I'm talking for the broader population. There are always some individuals who are ahead, testing the waters. Is it safe? Can this information be held without causing incredible upheavals? And there was a time when it would appear that there was a time when a lot of light entered the planet, or light tried to enter the planet, and it just increased the dark. It just made it so much more powerful and violent, and and apparently a lot of old souls are very closeted and scared of enlightenment because of having experienced the ramifications, the danger of being, and not being enlightened, but of enlightening in a world of great darkness. So while a religion is violently trying to establish its rule and its paradigm that does not allow even a shred of an opinion to the contrary, and we've just been through it 5 years ago, we've just experienced it globally. Like, that's how it works. That's exactly how it's done. And since time is either speeding up or our cycles are much, much shorter, so they got 2 years and we're all like, no. But when their cycle is hundreds of years, it's really worth their while killing everyone who pipes up and says, wait a minute, that does not make sense. That is hurting the people in their faith. That is hurting the divine feminine, which will hurt the masculine. Da, 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 da. Off with his head! Yes. And are we meant to spread enlightenment or enlighten? Are we really? Are we just supposed to? By whose decree? But doesn't it make more sense just to be whatever light you are, and then anywhere that light will resonate? There's no need to forcefully push it on anyone. Oh, I mean, there are many places in this world. Living in South Africa, there was always, like almost every train ride on the metro rail, some prophet would show up. Always Christian, not any other religion, and he would preach and spread the word. And I mean, if it's his joy to do so, fair enough. Didn't particularly bother me personally, but I just thought, why this forceful spreading of faith? It makes no sense. I never understood that. God can speak for himself. Why do you have to sell him like a cheap China watch? You're telling me of this God of yours, and then you have to sell him. Like, how in the world does that make any sense? When asked, speak about your faith by all means. I mean, for most people, their faith is their passion. That is so not true, Tatiana. Of course not. But if it is, then you can talk about it. And if it isn't, then shut the fuck up. I mean, we all have our own path. We all are. I use it, I'm going to say children of the divine, but that again places us. We are partners. We are co-creators. We are co-created. We are created. Some part of us is created by us. And of course, and to some people what I'm saying would be absolutely blasphemous. And there is exactly that. No person on this planet knows anything about blasphemy, but some, manipulators taught them about it. And maybe with the purest of intentions, because that person too had that done too, and they had that done too. The pedophilia in the religious circles is not, it's a necessary, it's not just like, oh, that happened because these priests are not allowed to marry, so it's actually just something that inadvertently developed. No, it didn't. It's part of the course curriculum. It's the way it works. Take that part out and the structure will start to collapse, I promise you. You can't take that out. Why are they, they're not all evil people, but they're broken, so they protect each other. So if, here's that priest, he's been doing half the boys in his community, move him over to another community. And the rest of us are like, excuse me? Oh, excuse me? And our minds go like, how is that not insane? How it's not the entire global community of that particular denomination or faith, or call it whatever, getting up and saying, we are not having this. We're not giving you one further cent until that person is excommunicated or whatever, or rehabilitated, or who knows what, until you fix that. But they can't, they don't. They keep supporting the system because it's an integral abuse, is an integral part of the system. And teaching a child lies about God, and I'm going to say it at the risk of I don't know what, that is spiritual abuse. And there are a few religions on this planet that do that. It's part of their system. And to have twisted the teachings of that man from Nazareth it's just incredible. It's just incredible how that is possible in our faces. So enlightening that system was trying to actually keep people. If you have to choose between your faith and your life, that is not fair. Or you have to choose between your faith and the well-being and the life of your family, your children. that is not, I, it's like, during these religious wars, when people were forced converted. I mean, what population looks on? How do we look on and we see? But I think like everybody understood what was going on. But if it's like either you profess your faith to what you believe or you and die, or worse, get tortured before you even die, or profess the idiot's faith who's standing in front of you threatening to kill you if you don't. I mean, can we imagine that situation? And we have repeats of that. That's a fractal pattern. There's a lot of repeat in that. School is a very similar system. I mean, far apart. Nobody dies, nobody nothing, no. But you don't learn what the teacher tells you to learn, you get punished through grades. If you don't know how to sit still, if you don't know how to control your vibrant, alive little body that just wants to be alive and not sit in a fucking chair for 3 hours, you get punished. I mean, what the fuck? Who thought of that? That is sadistic. Sadistical. That's just like, like we press these little children into a form, a uniform, uniforming humanity so that they all function replaceable. Why are we afraid to lose our jobs? Because we're replaceable. Because you're not unique. You don't have a unique ability. Like, does Sting worry about losing his job? A, he doesn't have a job to lose, and B, he's Sting. It's like, I'm going to make music, people are going to love it because I'm the only one who does what I do. Yeah, there's lots of other musicians, but each one is uniquely different. So I'm not threatened by the competition of another unique being, another unique musician. Instead, I enjoy them because I too want to enjoy unique musicians and their music and their contribution. There's space for all of us here. We're not elbowing each other for the audience. At least in my ideal idea, that's not how it works. Maybe record label companies, they might be doing exactly that. Yeah, but enlighten. The spark of the divine, the light, it's within each atom, in each molecule, the Hunapku, the galactic center, the spiritual center. It's in everything. Everything. What is there to seek but that inner light of your own? And what is it Rumi said? We just need to find the sun is just coming through the trees and slowly amping up, and it was full force in my face. Oh, thank you. I love you. And I can look straight at her because the trees in between us have no leaves. There is she, or he, or it, and there are some clouds floating past, soft ones. I can still look at the sun, I can still see her full circle, but the clouds are making it a little bit, it's not even clouds, it looks like smoke from a chimney, but it's making it a little softer for my eyes, putting a little filter, making the sun look like a moon that I can actually look at and love. Oh. Bless, 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 bless. So can we just remove what stands between us and love, what stands between us and our awareness of our inner light, understanding it is not enough. When we look into the eyes of a child, a very young child, and as they grow older, the veil starts to thicken with many children. Once they start schooling, the disillusionment process, the disenchantment process starts. But kids before the age of 6, most of them you can ask, under the age of 3 years, you can look at them, look at their eyes. It's like God looks back at you. So pure. So incredibly pure. And I did a little bit of hospice work, and I had this great experience with a very demented lady who I got to accompany her transition. I went to see her every 2 days, every day. She transitioned over like 10 days, 2 weeks. I sang to her, I looked at her, and as demented as she was, when I asked her if she was afraid, she said no. She just radiated. We could look at each other's eyes like lovers. She didn't look away. She just held my gaze indefinitely. She had no need. There was no ego there. There's no nothing hiding there. It was just, shame on me, I forgot her name, but her soul stayed with me. She passed away in my arms. Oh, that's such a beautiful experience. Yeah. Such a gift. Such a gift. I mean, I'm given to believe that in the case of dementia and Alzheimer's, and when people are very no longer present mentally, they may still very much present in other ways, because it's just us who are so identified with our mind. When we start losing our mind, we lose our identity, we lose our purpose of being here. I find it so sad to observe partners who are, where one partner is becoming dement, family members of a person who's fairly dement. For the longest time, they still try rationally talking to them, which is already like they're not in that world with you anymore. They can't really relate, or maybe whatever, what do I know? But what the sad part is that at some point, the ones on this side of dementia can at all not relate to the person. And I'm thinking, but you can sit there, hold hands, hug, cuddle, love. You don't need to talk. You're not relating to your newborn because it doesn't talk back. But very often the demented person has, of course, gone through a process of shame and pain of such intense severity that they too actually may not be able to find a way to can we relate on another level, because already the other levels have been missing from their lives for so long. I would wager a guess that one of the preventions for illnesses like Alzheimer's and dementia is physical love, touch, a lot of it, physical closeness, leaving the mental space and being in joy, being in ecstasy, being in awe, being physically close and connected, being physically, maybe sexually fulfilled. Sexually in a broader context, we have, of course, minutinized, we have atomized, we have, I don't know, made sex into something incredibly small. It all fits into this paradigm of control. Mind control, mind control. Religion, by and large, is mind control. A religion that frees its people into spiritual freedom, not trying to control their minds, but actually opening them, encouraging, searching for the divine, finding the divine, and then giving options. You can connect to the divine through a child with an elephant trunk, or through a woman with 4 arms, or through a monkey god, or through somebody blue-skinned, or through somebody brown-eyed, or through a he or a she or a they or a what. It doesn't matter. As long as you connect, you can split the divine into many components and connect. If you need something specific, create a specific representation of the divine that you can relate to, because it's all about you. It's not about the divine that needs to be worshipped and that can be blasphemed and that can be used their name in vain. Like, what? I'm really bashing it now. I apologize to anyone. Don't mean to step on anyone's toes, but please free yourself already. I mean, I do not expect anybody who is in that paradigm to be listening to this ever. Wouldn't happen, actually. But I mean, we gotta love everyone, and we can't forcefully wake anyone up. It wouldn't occur to me to go out there and like knock on everybody's door and say, hello, I'm here to enlighten you. You are on the wrong path. Do I have nothing better to do with my time? I mean, if that's fun to me, I can do that. But the people who do that, they don't look like they're having a lot of fun, honestly. But it's always easy to look from the outside and assume we are free. That's the next thing. It bugs me intensely how the Western world looks on the Islamic world, in part, and assumes a woman who wears a scarf on her head that that's not her choice, and she is not free. She's not emancipated, she's not free. Now, there are a lot of unfree women everywhere in the world. It has nothing to do with religion or no religion. Even in the atheistic world, women are not exactly free. We are not free until we are free, and we can be free anywhere. But this like looking from the other side and thinking we are free and you are not, and therefore we gotta bring you the light. Ironically, there's this how can we call it? There's this map across the earth where all the 20 seals are mapped out across the earth, and every area of the earth is, maybe it's the plate tectonics of the earth. That's what Martin Strubin said, that it corresponds to the tectonics, the plates, the earth plates. I do not know if that's true, but anyway, there's this rostra where the seals are laid out over the earth, and the yellow sun is over Europe. And when I first saw that, I was a bit shocked, because in my view, so much darkness has befallen the world through Europe, through the Europeans, at least in this last bout of civilization, the last couple thousand years. And I know that we're not the only ones who have spread across the world with our darkness. And then I'm reminded again that we are living in a polar world. So if I believe I've got the light and I have to spread it, and I can be as misguided as anyone. I can be as unenlightened as a person in the shadow of the blue night is absolutely unable to dream, is completely trapped, I should say, in their rational mind. Yesterday I called it the right brain. I think it's the left brain. That's the rational mind. I was confused the two. But they're very trapped in the one half of their brain, and the other half is often not, it's not connecting in these imbalances. And it's very funny when we polarize. When we really polarize, we often believe ourselves to be very right. That's what polarization does. It's this is good and that's bad. Nobody willingly stands themselves on the side of the bad, or some do. I think that's closer to enlightenment maybe than the goody two-shoes who are like, you are bad and we are good. The guy who says, you know what, I'm bad and I'm going to do bad. I mean, that's not good either, but that's just rebellion. That's, in my view, that's like rebellion to polarization. But rebellion to polarization causes polarization, which is why so many revolutions on this planet, yes, they changed the paradigm, but they didn't really change the power structures. Whether you're ruled by a monarch or a pope or a government, all of them abusing power, you're still the one who finances them. They're still living, running, feeding, feasting on your money, all of them. If they're a little bit smart, they will make the system look as if it's working in your favor. And you will have more freedom than anyone before you had. And therefore you will support your rulers because they're keeping us from anarchy. They're keeping the structures going. It's a good thing. You can't even think outside that box. You can't even think outside that box. I can't think outside my boxes. I'm not standing here saying like, I'm thinking outside the box, look at you, ha ha ha. No, hell no. That's why it's so brilliant that we talk to each other. Which is why it was so funny that 5 years ago, they're like, you don't get to meet each other, don't talk to each other. Two is a crowd, disperse. Jesus, in some places they locked people away when they were all alone outside. Don't be outside at all. Switch off your brain. Don't look for making any sense. And it's like, yeah, well, it's painful not to make sense. Things not making sense is very painful. That's like in my books, that's like a mental rape. It's painful. Oh, I heard a little 5-year-old cry recently before going to school. He was so worried about going to school. He says they're going to force us into homework and it's going to be this and it's going to be that and it's going to be horrible. And I'm sitting there thinking, sorry, my video ran out. I'm sitting there thinking, you are right. Oh, but you cannot not go. You have no choice. And it registers as painful when our choices are cut, or oh, now I'm going off on a tangent because sometimes we're in that state when we don't really know. It isn't going to be painful. Wadi. But in any case, we got to change that paradigm where school is a place where we unfold, where we learn. You got to learn social rules if you didn't learn them at home. We got to learn how to get on with each other. We got to learn how to fight it out, how to argue, how to debate. Not argue, but debate, yeah? I mean, there is a schooling that makes us into the best we can be. We're already good. We already, like, I don't know, not this, what we've got going still. Not that. And it's an outmoded model because school does exactly not equip us for the lives of adulthood in this new kind of society where jobs pressing you becoming uniformed to be a soldier or a job person, no, you have to be, we're all going to be entrepreneurs, like we all have to find our own way and that's organic. What's needed? What can I do? What can I contribute? But if you have no self-confidence because you don't know who you are, and because you've just followed instructions and you haven't learned how not to, and blah, 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 it's difficult. I remember when I was at the school leaving age, and people of my age and my family and in my circle of friends, people left school, different ages, and I'm like, what you gonna do next? What you gonna do? What is your choice? I wanted to know, like, where are you going with your life, like, next? And then they told me their options, and I'm like, this is your passion? Is this what you really want? No, but that's what's on option, or No, but that's what's needed. Or no, but that's all I can get. Or no, but that's what makes me the most money. All the wrong reasons in my book. Like, if at that age hope has already left you, your passions have already left you, what are you going to do when you're 50, 60? Hope to rekindle it? Some do. But the journey there for so many is just so difficult. But what can you do when you've already, at the age of teenage and 20, you've already been formed, unless you've resisted formation, and some of us do, to whatever degree. So what does that mean? I've asked that question earlier. How come some are so conforming, so easy to conform, and some are not? And I often, sometimes, we're talking NPCs, right? Who knows if I want to play a certain power game on this planet, my soul is incarnated into all my followers so that I can play this game. You know what I mean? I am all of that, in part, whatever. What is this I? How many ways can we look at something that changes that thing? And as an adult, to change paradigms, mental paradigms, is difficult. I would not lie. That is because our belief systems, they kind of get hardwired. Our paradigms are almost hardwired into us. Look at us. We're all living in this paradigm of aging and living like barely 100 years. That's hardwired into us now. It's absolutely not the original design. But it's an experience. And there's good reason for it too, because a paradigm, it's like if you are a paradigm that doesn't allow you spiritual growth, it just doesn't, and it didn't. It locked you into a system, and there you had to stay. In as much as it locked you into a marriage for life, and there you had to stay. There's very, very, very limited room for growth. There's some, but there's some, but it's finite. And then if you want to take your spiritual lessons, you die, and quote unquote, you pass over, you look at your life, you're like, now I get it. Reassemble and come back. Live in this limited paradigm again, pass over, I'm not going to do that again. Come back, don't do that again. You're still in that old paradigm. You're not doing that again, but you're still in that old paradigm. So, you pass over, like, okay, wait a minute. Should we start changing this paradigm? Is this working? And we're like, let's change it. And the reason we can't is like because we get to exhaust it. It's like a chewing gum. You can chew it. It's like a chewing gum. You can chew it for forever. It doesn't disintegrate. When I was a kid, I used to chew my gum for weeks. There was hardly any chewing gum, any tasty chewing gum. I think in my childhood there was no much chewing gum around. So when we got chewing gum from some source from another country, hooba booba, I chewed my gum for weeks. Stuck it under my desk overnight and I put it back in my mouth after school the next day. Oh man, you learn to appreciate the good things in life. When you have everything all the time, like you just walk in the shop, how can you not be totally frustrated at the age of 15? What do you want that you can't have? Anyway, we get to exhaust the paradigm. We get to chew it until there's no more flavor left. You can still chew it, but it doesn't taste of nothing anymore because we've sucked all the flavor out of it. And then at some point comes the moment where it's like, all right, I'm willing to let it go. wait for another one, and when that new one comes, the burst of flavor, because you've just spent 2 weeks chewing your flavorless gum. Oh lordy, I mean, you gotta love life. It's like, that's how we live. You spend a couple of lifetimes in hell. Don't judge, even if it's your own hell. You're going to wake up in a life at some point that is going to blow your top off because of this. And so when some religious mythology says, oh, bear your suffering because what comes after it is so great, oh, there is some grain of something in it. There's always a grain of truth in it. The thing is that you get to decide. The divine in you decides. You and the divine, streamline yourself. And if you can't, and if you don't want to, or if it doesn't, the person doesn't, I mean, we have free will. What is that? That, this is me. It's like, what is this divine? Even myself, like, when I say that, in which paradigm am I? So at the end of the day, for me personally, it's like, what am I living? What light am I living? Because it's all in the living, not in the preaching, in the knowing, in the understanding, in the inspirationing, and whatever. I can do that. But what am I living? My proof is in my pudding. And I don't expect, and I wouldn't want to live only the bright side of life. Quite frankly, no. I spoke of it the other day. It's just, I don't want to get stuck in my suffering modes. I can't, I'm not yet at a place where I say I can easily envision my life without any pain or suffering or anything at all. I can. I'm not there yet. And I don't want to be there yet, because I am where I am, and I want to be here because this is my experience. This is my life. This now is the only place. And it's already plenty times totally overwhelming with the options that I'm having. I can choose any thought I think. I can think anything. I can think any thought I choose. I can choose my feelings. I can choose what I do. I'm incredibly free. And sometimes that freedom is incredibly burdensome. And then I come to these parts of my mind that are like, we don't know how to make a decision right now. Or we want and we can't have, and we can't handle that we can't have. Worse yet, which I had it yesterday, I want and I can have, and now suddenly I'm reeling back because, like, do I really want that? What happens if I get it? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. All kinds of fears drop in. And it's very uncomfortable because the sun in me says, lighten up. And I'm like, oh, I'm drooping heavy like a raindrop, just about to fall off the edge of a leaf. And I don't know whether I should let go, whether I should fall in joy, because when I hit the bottom, I'm done being a raindrop. I become something else. And as a human, I not frequently, but I occasionally come onto that point where I can make a decision right now that is going to change me. And I can't predict. Or I could. I'm not making the right choice to say, I'm going for this and this is going to be good for me. I'm not even going to entertain any possibility of this not being good. Fears, false evidence appearing real. There's no evidence at all. It's just a fog in my mind that says it could turn out the way it once turned out, and that was very painful. Don't do it. Even though you want it, and even though you can now have it. And that's a dilemma. That can be a serious dilemma. What do we do at that point? Do we check out? Or do we forge? Each one of us has their own answer to that. Anyhow, so I've spoken a lot. I've enjoyed this interaction immensely. I've enjoyed... What do I enjoy about this? I enjoy something really a lot about this. I am magnetic sun, so for me, my wave spell is the wave spell of the sun. The wind, communication, sits in position 3, electric. Electric service bonding is the wind. Communicating for me is like, it's as essential as breathing. Who or what I communicate with is my choice. Communicating with the sun, sunstorms, sharing information from the sun to the sun. What does that even mean? Humility. I want to say I don't care, but my boyfriend always points out that when I say I don't care, it sounds like I don't care. It comes from a direct German translation of from somewhere where to me it means it's all the same to me. It doesn't make a difference to me. And he's really trying to teach me to say either way is fine. Can I say either way is fine rather than I don't care? I don't care sounds like callous or careless or something. Okay. Point taken. How conscious can I be? Being very conscious can be really efforting it. Like now I have to control what I'm saying. Oh, tedious, tiring, boring. So for me, I enlighten myself by accepting my non-enlightened parts, because I cannot be all light, then I wouldn't be, perhaps I wouldn't be human, or I wouldn't be this human. There are humans who carry a lot of light and are not balanced with the darkness within themselves, or we don't see that darkness, who knows? I assume there's a transcendence of the duality, and then you are in a different space, yin and yang together. It's not the same as either or, because it's both and more. Karpachelech, I should always quote it for anyone who hasn't listened to the other episodes. Now there's a beautiful thick gray layer of cloud, but it's thinning toward some side, and it gives this gradient from gray to light. And I can look at the sky because all the trees have cleared their foliage, and I can see the sky. In the summer, there's very little sky to be seen from this position. And in the summer, I talk to the trees. Now I can talk to the sky. Sky walking. For me, communicating like this is my way of sky walking. I absolutely adore it. It gives me an enormous amount of pleasure. And it's either or for me, whether anybody listens to this. Of course, I don't know if I would do it if nobody at all listened. Probably, because I'm quite content having these talks with the universe. It gives me pleasure. But the hope, and I don't know if this is now a moralistic, how do I serve the collective? Someone can say, sitting there rambling away is serving no one. You're not serving the collective at all. Get doing something. Go feed the hungry. Go wipe some poor sot's butt who can't do it for himself anymore. Whatever, be practical. Do. This sitting there talking is not doing. I say, be. Being is enough. Take care of that being. Take care of who you be. And what does that mean to be? To be. How do you look after your being? Your inner frequencies, your thoughts, the quality of your thoughts determines the quality of your feelings, determines the quality of your actions, determines whether or not what you're doing is, and now I'm giving it a moral code, good or bad, I can make a birthday cake for my child's birthday, but inside of me, I'm like, oh, I hate this. I hate baking. I don't want to do this. Why do I have to celebrate these bloody birthdays and da 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 da? So, am I doing something good, or am I doing something not so good? Or maybe I'm doing a bit of both and a bit more. But like some say, polish the mirror, calm your waters, clear, cleanse your frequency, tune your love frequency. If you're here on this planet loving, you've already changed it for what we would call the better. But if we change it for the better, what about the worse? Let's not. Um, I'm I'm wanting to say, let's just not try to make it better, because I mean, I've been on this planet for a while, and there have been efforts to make this planet better. Change the wars, change famine. Have they? Has it been successful? Is that the way? A friend of mine always says, you go on those anti-anything rallies, you're not anti-anything, you're just strengthening the thing that you're anti-against. True that. So we say, but we never went to an anti-anything rally. We went to pro-something marches, and they were wonderful, truly enlightening experiences. I haven't been to many, but the ones I've been to, they were life-changing for me at least. Oh my goodness, the connection, the love that was shared, the freedom, the acceptance. I remember, I'm a bit shy of many people. I'm not really into that, but that year, on that march, hundreds of thousands of people in the street, and you could sit down in the middle of the street and eat your lunch, and everybody just peacefully walked around you, greeted you, cheered, laughed. No, like, what are you doing sitting here? You're in the way, go over there. Nothing, everything's so harmonious. Incredible. It was like a flood of love through the streets of these metropolises. I mean, I don't know if they all were like that. The ones I attended were like that. Incredibly life-changing experience. It absolutely, if I needed to restore my faith in humanity, it happened then. Then I could see, like, yeah, we can be so many people in a place together if we are in coherence with each other. We're in coherence with ourselves, and everything flows. The key is coherence. So if I had to say one thing on this yellow resonant sun, one key word is coherence. Both the resonant tone, heart and mind and resonance, dragon, sun, storm, dog, and resonance. How come I don't know off by heart who the guide is, the yellow human? Go figure. I mean, go figure. Of course, naturally. I mean, it could be the warrior, but the warrior is the guide to the 3-8, and no, it can't be 8, can it? Yeah, of course, 3-8 and I mean 3-8 and 13. Let me not say a wrong thing. It's embarrassing. It's the seed. 3-8 and 13 is guided by the seed, so there is a wrong thing. Which one is guided by the warrior? 4 and 9. He, the solar sun. Interesting. Yeah, well, all worth exploring. But today is resonant and coherence within ourselves. If we can do one thing for the world, one thing, if I had to give one piece of advice, get yourself into coherence with yourself. It creates a coherent field around you, inside you. It creates coherence, and coherence spreads and is a powerful, causes coherence with others, or it makes you at least somewhat immune to their incoherence. And it's not about, it's not like shield yourself from others. Oh, if I could give a second piece of advice, it's like stop shielding yourself from anything. As long as you're shielding yourself from anything, negative energies, other people's opinions, moods, whatever, if you're shielding yourself, you're in a weaker position. You've acknowledged your weakness. If you consciously acknowledge your weakness and say, I need shielding because I'm not strong yet, I'm still blah, 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 okay. But generally speaking, you are the light. You don't need to protect yourself from darkness because it cannot even, it's just physiologically not possible that it can do anything to you. Non-existence doesn't snuff out existence. Paradigm shift. Softly. We're shifting slowly. Violent paradigm shifts often leave people unshifted, and therefore the collective recreates the same situation. That's what we spoke about earlier. So you can have all these noble revolutions, but the very people who spearhead the revolution end up becoming the new oppressors very, very often. And they can't, in a way, not be, because collectively, individually and collectively, if they don't, they often get killed by somebody who wants to take over, who is of the same power abusing settings as the system that has been changed, and the oppression in some way, shape or form continues, because the collective in a violent change, it's rarely a paradigm shift, a quantum jump. If it's a quantum jump, all right, it rarely is. So it's a rapid shift, but the people haven't shifted. So you can free a slave, but if it's been generations of slavery, he isn't going to know how to be a free man. He hasn't got any clue. Give $1 million to lotto winnings to people who've not known money like that. They don't maintain it, most of them. On the contrary, it just really fucks them over in many ways. It just leaves them worse off than before. It's the same thing. These kind of rapid shifts don't last, and they're often even damaging. So right now we're shifting slowly. It's fast enough, but it's slow. It's a very deep grind that is a slow shift, because this one's going to last. And this one is so subtle. It's happening on the inside. The darkness, it can't go there. It can't touch it. Unless we let it. Oh, now my time is up. Time is up. I'm looking at my image running out. I'm not going to extend this. So I'm just left to wish us a wonderful, resonant, sunny, coherent day. Aho.